All right, thank you so much for joining us on our 112th edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Baczewski.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
And of course, we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, events, and music that make this city of Ottawa the incredible city that it is.
It's amazing.
How about those Sens, eh?
They are pesky.
Hasn't that word officially been removed from the vocabulary of the Sens?
I'm not too sure. They're 14
I think it's
wins
gone.
out of 18.
It's not pesky. It's gone.
Now they're just winners.
They're definitely making a run for it. My Flames are in there anyway for the playoffs, so that's fine.
Anyways, before we get to our very special guest, Michael Maidman from the Ottawa Food Bank, why don't we check this out?
Hi, all you loud lunchers. This is Matthew St. Clair from the band St. Clair in Ottawa. Thanks for tuning into this week's podcast. I just wanted to take a minute to let you all know about a great show we're playing this Friday with Trevor Alguire from Ottawa and Mark Ripp from Toronto at Irene's Pub on Bank Street. This show is night number 2 of the 10-year anniversary celebration of Dick Altavista's Both Kinds of Music show on CKCU Radio. We're also celebrating the release of our newest single called East Ending that you'll hear in full on today's episode, along with a few clips from our upcoming EP titled Moving On. We hope you enjoy these songs, and if you do, we'd love to see you out at the show this weekend or at one of our many upcoming shows. Have a great weekend.
Quiet upstairs.
So thank you so much, St. Clair, and of course, we're going to be debuting all new songs. That was Stranger Than Fiction, off their upcoming EP that will be coming out. They'll be at Blues Fest. Blues Fest was just released. They'll be there July 9th.
Yeah. Tickets on sale today, I believe.
That's right. And Friday, they are at Irene's. So before we get to Michael, just Jen will be coming on at around halftime. She'll be talking about the Empire Grill reopening, a new restaurant opening tomorrow that I'm very excited about, Share Free House, and the event Sunday Table Irabla from the Bytown Chefs Collective, and the tickets for Elton Brown that they'll be giving away today.
Oh, right on.
All right, so we're here with Michael. Thank you so much for having us at the Ottawa Food Bank, one of the premier institutions of this city.
Good to have you guys here.
So what did you think of the Blues Fest lineup? You're a big music fan.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you hear the chirps, I guess, that nobody's ever going to be happy with the lineup, right? You
get that every year. Every year.
Yeah, I loved seeing Metric every year. Like, every year you would see Metric in the lineup. I mean, that was gold for me. But there's something in there for everybody, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
Lots of country, lots of rap, lots
good
of
hip hop. They got De La Soul, Nas.
Yeah.
Skinner is back, which I'm pumped about.
I don't know if I'm gonna. Yeah,
Skinner was a lot of fun when I saw them. 2-3 years ago? I liked it.
Even a couple years back. I know my fiance didn't get to see them, so we're gonna have to make.
If they can play the song from Happy Gilmore that they didn't play in the first year, that's all I care about.
It's just all about hearing Freebird live. I don't know.
Yeah, that's always good to see.
I think I want to see the Hip. One of the greatest shows I've ever seen was the Hip at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah.
After Fully Completely tour, it was an incredible show.
Have you seen them since?
No. Once in Ottawa, but not since then. So I mean, it's been at least 10 years since I've seen them. So I think that would be pretty cool. Golden Marrow, great local band, did some stuff with them at Christmas time for the food bank.
Yeah, heck of a voice.
Yeah, amazing.
Shannon Rose.
Yeah,
she's
just incredible. So. There's tons of stuff to see.
Yeah, I think one of the big disappointments that everyone was kind of hoping for, and maybe it'll still happen, is Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters?
Yeah, apparently their tour dates, they got, I think it's the 8th and the 9th in Toronto, which are sold out, and then they don't play again until the 13th in Jersey. So that's a pretty decent gap that maybe they're trying to fit in Ottawa and Montreal somewhere.
So you'll be able to
we hope.
Ottawa's on the way to Jersey, right?
That's it. It's pretty close.
And I was just reading your Twitter. You're getting ready for TEDx Canada. Anyone you're excited to see there today?
I think the whole lineup looks great. I'm excited about it. I'm a Canada guy, so it's great to have this come to Ottawa and come to Canada. And any opportunity, I think, to hear great speakers, to get inspired, kind of sharpen the saw, get enthused. I think that's great. So I'm looking forward to it.
If you want to go twice, then the one on Sunday is for TEDx Ottawa. So
excellent.
Lots of stuff going on
Yeah.
with TEDx. Love those talks.
Yeah.
It's a great subscription. Anyways, we're here with Michael Maymont, the Executive Director of the Ottawa Food Bank. And before we talk more about the food bank, we like to get to know about him. Born and raised in Newfoundland?
Yeah. Now I have to.
Oh, nice.
So you have to say it right first of all.
Yeah, I never said it.
Newfoundland.
Right?
Newfoundland. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, actually, I was born in Thompson, Manitoba.
Okay.
And then I grew up in Newfoundland. I mean, I was in Thompson for like a week. My dad was working in a nickel mine because every good Newfoundlander leaves Newfoundland to work, right? That's how it
absolutely.
goes.
Fort
And,
McMurray.
It's the
Fort
best
McMurray
ratio
is
of women to men in the country, I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure.
I have a brother in Fort McMurray in the oil fields, so and a lot of friends and family. I have a lot of family in Alberta. But so I grew up in Newfoundland, and I left after first year university. I went to school in London, Ontario, and then moved to Toronto. And after a few years in Toronto, came to Ottawa.
What was it like adjusting to the big cities?
I always knew that I was going to move. I love Newfoundland, and as I get older, I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost as if it's pulling on you, like to come back. I see the commercials on TV that everybody sees about Newfoundland tourism, and when you see the commercials,
It's beautiful.
like I start to tear up, like my throat starts to swell up and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, my wife wants to change the channel because she knows that she has to listen to me for a couple hours talking about moving back. But I mean, it's a wonderful place, but I always knew that I would move. And I think in my yearbook, in fact, it said, something like, this is the guy most likely to move to the mainland. We always called it the mainland.
Yeah, off the rock. Yeah.
Off the rock, yeah. So, and I went right away to Toronto and just loved it there. I mean, the art scene, the food, just the city, the neighborhoods. It was just a great city and very alive. I really loved it.
And then when did you make it to Ottawa?
I was actually I was working in retail. I worked for Future Shop when Future Shop was building stores all over Ontario, and I was part of a management team that was opening these stores. And so we would go to a new city and we would take over the store. It was a shell, and then we would build out all the racking. We would merchandise all the product, receive all the product, and merchandise it. We would hire all the staff, train the staff, soft open, grand opening, and then we'd stay for a couple weeks, and then we'd move to the next city. And so we did that all around Ontario, and then I did one in Ottawa, and I had an aunt and uncle here, and I loved Ottawa. I'd been to Ottawa a couple times as a kid, and I just loved it, and I stayed. And I think maybe 2 to 3 months after I was here, I met my wife, and
that's hook, line, and sinker. And
that was it. It's done.
Yeah.
So we've been married for 15 years. Our
Congrats.
kids are here. So Ottawa's home now, and we love it.
So from Future Shop to running a food bank, that's an incredible transition.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I started actually in college. I did a program in audio engineering, so that's kind of where the music.
Okay.
My goal in school was to do originally was to do a music program. I was going to do music at Memorial. That was the plan. So I did general studies, getting ready for music. Had an audition, was getting all set, and then I switched and did audio engineering. And I wanted to do post-production for film. And that's why I moved to Toronto. And but that was pretty tough. I did a couple of independent films, did audio for independent films, did a couple of TV pilots, all working for free, trying to pay
I was
rent.
going to say, I had a buddy that was doing the same thing. It's really hard to crack into that industry, right?
Super.
Without having to do things for free for a very long time.
Exactly. And actually, we did a pilot. I did location audio for a pilot. Pilot got picked up, but they turfed all of us who did it. They hired a production company.
come on.
And so we thought that, for doing it, we would get in. But it didn't work out. So anyway, I started in this retail gig, and just really loved it. And at the time, as a pretty young guy, I was holding the keys to a multi-million-dollar business, And Future Shop was really big in training people. You could really progress your career and get a lot of leadership and management
Second
training.
education.
Yeah, and it was really a wonderful opportunity. And so I really took that forward, and I worked for TELUS, for ClearNet, which was then purchased by TELUS, and then moved over and did some marketing communication stuff, and ran my own business for a little while, doing marketing rollout for retail. So sort of switched off the retail more into the marketing, but kind of used the retail management. Went back to retail for a stint, and then I went to the Salvation Army and working.
How did you go from that to Salvation?
I grew up in the Salvation Army in Newfoundland.
Yeah. Okay.
Salvation Army Church is very well known, very big in Newfoundland, and they were looking for somebody in a junior communications role. And so I had kind of this marketing communications experience, management experience from retail, and I had the knowledge of the organization. Has a very unique culture, very long history, and I kind of had that understanding. And so they hired me in this junior role, and I was able to progress through the organization, and spent 7 years working for that great organization. And then after that, came to the Ottawa Food Bank.
How did you hear about the position for the Ottawa Food Bank and go, you know what, I can really make a difference here. I have some good ideas. And
I heard it was coming available. I knew that the former ED was on the move, and I think there was an announcement that Peter was moving to the Ottawa mission, and so I started to dig around a little and ask some questions and find out about the organization a little bit more deeply. They were a partner of the Salvation Army, of course, the Ottawa Food Bank and the Salvation Army, so I had some knowledge, of course, of the organization and our work together. But started to dig around, and interestingly, our organization is a lot about marketing and communication and fundraising and all that side of it, but the whole back end of the business is operations. And so when you look back to the retail stuff, I was overseeing a warehouse operation and inventory management and that whole side of retail. So it was an interesting. I had this really funny CV, and then when I came to the food bank and put it on the table, they were kind of like, "Hey, we're looking for one of these." So
that's good.
Yeah, there was a lot of synergy there, and
it's nice to know that the stepping stones you took in life led to where it's supposed to, or at least where it feels good, right?
Yeah, and I think I was really carved out for an opportunity like this, and I think it has a lot to do with growing up in Newfoundland, because especially when you relate it to food banks, because food banks were born in community, right? It's a community's response to people in need, and that's what my community as a kid is all about. It was my grandmother who dragged me down the street to bring food to a neighbor who had lost a job or who had lost a loved one. I remember as a kid, there was a forest fire, and half the town was evacuated. All the schools were closed down. And my grandmother dragged me over to her kitchen, and myself and half the ladies from the church were making sandwiches and then providing them to firefighters who were on the front lines of the forest fire trying to save the town. So that's kind of what I grew up in, and to be doing this now is pretty rewarding.
Oh, are you seeing some of the initiatives that you envisioned when you first got here starting to come into play, and what are some of those that I guess I would not know until now?
Yeah. It's a lot of what we're doing as an organization. In many ways, some of them are my initiatives, of course, but in many ways, I'm simply supporting the wonderful staff and the volunteers that are here, and I'm not really coming into the organization, I feel, with some whole new agenda. The work that's been done in this organization for 30 years has been wonderful, but I've certainly had maybe a change of focus in certain ways, and some of those things. Some of the wonderful programs like Community Harvest, that's been one of the really successful programs over the last 4 years. We actually have a farm in the West End in Stittsville. So we have a farmer, his name is Tom Black, and Tom donates 4 acres of land to us. Wow. And he's given us 8 acres. We use 4 currently. And